Welcome to the deep dive. Um, if you are sitting there refreshing your feeds today, waiting for those typical massive press releases from major game studios, you might actually be looking in the wrong place.
Oh, definitely. I mean, usually when a studio drops a massive announcement, like, say, a next generation MMO, they act like a marathon runner who just crossed the finish line.
Right. They just completely collapse.
Exactly. The PR team goes silent. The developers retreat into their little caves to, actually build the thing. And all you hear is just crickets for months.
Yeah. But then you look at what ArenaNet is doing this week. We are analyzing a massive stack of sources today. We've got official developer diaries, Reddit patch notes, community strategy docs, and deep dive analysis from YouTube creators like the Lazy Peon, Wooden Potatoes, and Avoxtr.
It's a lot of material.
It really is. And the picture they paint is just fascinating. This block is brought to you by the Tyrian Zoning and Homestead Compliance Bureau. Because a house filled entirely with 400 identical giant cat statues is not a home. It's a severe structural safety hazard. Stop stacking floating couches to the skybox. Call or visit your local outpost today and use promo code DECORATE for a free safety evaluation before they evict your entire account. So it's a classic post-announcement hangover for Guild Wars 3, but ArenaNet is proving they aren't a one-trick pony.
No, they really aren't. This isn't your standard slow news week by any means. What your sources are highlighting is, honestly, a masterclass in studio management.
Yeah.
We are looking at a powerhouse developer that is firing on all cylinders across 4 completely different avenues, all at the exact same time.
4 massive avenues. We're talking about, the active development of a next-gen sequel, a surprisingly robust mobile port of a 20-year-old classic, a brand new digital card game, and then these hyper-specific, community-focused live service updates for their existing game. And so the mission for our deep dive today is to explore how on earth a single studio manages to sustain that kind of multi-project momentum without, totally buckling under the pressure.
Well, to understand how they're pulling this off, we really have to look at the structural blueprint they are following. Because you can't juggle 4 projects unless the foundation of your biggest project is incredibly stable.
Right. So let's start with that foundation, the big one. Guild Wars 3. ArenaNet officially announced it at Summer Games Fest, and they've slated the first beta for fall 2027.
A ways off, yeah.
It is, but to really understand the potential here, we have to look at the technological choices they are making behind the scenes right now. The strategy documents we have draw this really sharp contrast between Guild Wars 3 and the high-profile stumbles of Amazon's MMO New World.
Oh, man. Yeah, it is the perfect case study in what not to do.
Seriously.
When you are building an MMO, the game engine you choose is your literal bedrock. I mean, the engine is the software framework that renders the graphics, calculates physics, handles network traffic. If that bedrock is cracked, the whole virtual world just collapses.
And according to the dev diaries, ArenaNet has chosen to build Guild Wars 3 on Epic's Unreal Engine, which honestly makes a lot of sense.
Totally.
Using a proprietary in-house engine like Amazon executives force their developers to do with the Azoth engine for New World.
The Azoth engine.
Right. It's like building a house with standard, universally trusted tools instead of trying to invent your own hammer while the house is on fire.
That is a great way to put it. And what's fascinating here is the contrast between those two decisions. Corporate mandates fatally flawed New World from day one. Azoth was clunky and deeply difficult to work with.
Because it was designed to show off Amazon's cloud computing, right?
Exactly. It wasn't designed to empower game designers. When a studio uses a highly guarded proprietary engine like that, only a handful of people in the world actually know how to code for it.
Which means if there's a game-breaking bug, you can't just Google the solution.
Precisely. Fixing bugs becomes a total nightmare, and your content pipeline just slows to a crawl. But by choosing an industry standard like Unreal Engine, ArenaNet instantly taps into this massive global talent pool.
Oh, that makes sense.
Yeah, if they need to hire a senior combat designer tomorrow, they don't have to spend 6 months teaching that designer how their weird custom physics engine works. The new hire can literally sit down at their desk and start building levels on day one.
Plus, there's the security aspect, right? I mean, hackers, botters, and exploiters are the absolute bane of any multiplayer economy. By using Unreal, ArenaNet gets to leverage Epic Games' built-in multi-billion-dollar security infrastructure.
Which is huge.
Yeah, they don't have to build complex anti-cheat software from scratch.
Right, which frees up their developers to actually focus on making the game fun rather than acting as virtual security guards all day.
Okay, so the technical foundation is solid, but an engine only solves the coding side of the equation. What about the social and economic side?
The economy.
Yeah, because we have seen so many volatile sandbox games where the in-game economy just completely collapses. I'm looking at these community analysis documents that talk about disastrous deflation traps.
Oh, where the currency just becomes utterly worthless.
Exactly. Players literally revert to trading raw materials, like bartering iron ore for a sword because gold is useless. How does Guild Wars 3 avoid that trap?
Well, that is where ArenaNet's 20-year history becomes their greatest asset. They aren't guessing how to build a digital economy. They already have the winning formula.
Right, from Guild Wars 2.
Yeah. In Guild Wars 2, they actually employ a dedicated team of real-world virtual economists who actively monitor and manipulate the market.
Wait, really? Like actual economists sitting in an office managing imaginary gold?
I know it sounds crazy, but yes, it is absolutely vital for a game of that scale.
Yeah.
They manage the exchange rate between the premium currency, which is gems, and the standard in-game gold with incredible, almost surgical precision.
Wow.
And to prevent hyperinflation or deflation, they use highly centralized economic controls. In game design, these are known as faucets and sinks.
Okay, so break those down for me. How do faucets and sinks actually work in a video game?
So a faucet is the mechanism that introduces new money into the world economy. For example, every time you defeat a monster and it drops 10 gold pieces, or you complete a quest and get a cash reward, the game is turning on the faucet.
It's printing new money.
Exactly. And if you leave the faucet running without a drain, the world floods with cash. Suddenly, everyone is a millionaire, and a basic healing potion costs 50,000 gold.
Right, which is hyperinflation, so a sink is obviously the drain.
You got it. A sink is a system designed to permanently delete money from the game. This could be like a 5 gold fee to fast travel across the map, or an expensive crafting material that you can only buy from an NPC merchant.
Oh, so the money goes to the computer and just vanishes from the economy entirely.
By strictly balancing these faucets and sinks, and establishing hard NPC price floors for essential items, ArenaNet completely insulates their games from those volatile, Wild West economic collapses that destroy other sandbox titles.
Okay, total confidence in the economy then. But let's talk about the actual gameplay experience. The sources detail the creative vision for Guild Wars 3. The setting takes us like 1,000 years into the past, during the golden age of a nation called Or.
A very cool era for the lore.
Yeah. You play as these Veil Wardens who protect nature spirits, called Veil, and the big mechanical hook is a momentum-based movement system. You run, you slide, you wall run, and all that kinetic speed carries directly over into your combat strikes.
It sounds incredibly fluid.
It does. But crucially, the developers have noted that this momentum combat is designed from the ground up to be controller-friendly, specifically targeting a simultaneous release on the PS5.
And that's the sticking point for a lot of people.
Yeah, this is where I really have to push back, because I am seeing a ton of anxiety from the community on this exact point. YouTube creators like Wooden Potatoes and the Lazy Peon are raising major red flags.
I've seen those videos, yeah.
Historically, when an MMO tries to be controller-friendly, it means they just gut the game, right? They take a complex system that requires a keyboard and a mouse, and they dumb it down until all your abilities fit on 4 face buttons. By aiming for this broader console audience, aren't they walking right into the theme park trap?
Well, it's a very valid fear. The theme park trap is what happens when a game tries to please absolutely everybody. The casual console player on the couch, the hardcore PC veteran who wants 50 hotkeys, the PvP fans, the raiders.
Everyone wants something different.
Right. And when you try to be everything to everyone, the game loses its identity and ends up feeling like a generic theme park ride.
Which is exactly what killed New World's original vision. They pivoted from a hardcore sandbox to a generic theme park halfway through development, and, well, no one was happy.
True. Right. ArenaNet is certainly balancing a lot with 4 major projects on their plate. It makes you wonder how they're planning to handle the technical hurdles of Guild Wars 3. We haven't heard much officially on their testing roadmap, but if they are sticking to a full action combat model, they're going to face some massive scaling challenges. I'd imagine they'll need to run intense combat testing early on, maybe even throwing a ton of players on screen at once to see where that action-based engine starts to creak.
That's a fair point.
Right? It really is. Think about it. Tab targeting handles server load pretty gracefully, but true action combat requires the engine to calculate every single hit, collision, and ability interaction for potentially hundreds of entities in real time. If they want this to hold up, they'll almost certainly need to stress test those high-density combat scenarios long before a beta. It's the kind of thing that could really make or break a game's feel if the server can't keep up with the action.
Yeah, it's a huge hurdle, isn't it?
Exactly. If they don't get that load management right early, the system could easily fall apart the second a group of players starts unloading abilities simultaneously. It's safe to assume that a massive portion of their pre-beta work is just trying to get the engine to sustain that level of chaos without the whole thing falling apart. If the wall running and sliding feel fair and balanced in a competitive arena, they will feel incredible when you are just exploring the open world.
So it prevents those massive, panicky, mechanical reworks mid-development.
Yes. The core takeaway from these strategy documents is that ArenaNet must stick to their guns. They have a distinct historic vision for this game. If they panic and shift gears halfway through just to appease angry veterans who want a pure PC experience, the game will suffer.
They really just have to commit to the vision. I like that. But committing to a beta test in fall 2027 doesn't keep the lights on today.
That is very true.
And an announcement trailer doesn't give the current player base anything to actually do. Which brings us to a huge pivot in our sources. ArenaNet isn't just looking to the future, they are aggressively expanding the playable universe right now.
They have to. They need a way to keep players engaged in the franchise today without pulling essential resources away from the sequel's development.
Exactly. And this part is blowing my mind. YouTuber Avoxtr dropped a technical review this week that completely set the community on fire. Wars Reforged, which is the original 20-year-old PC game that started the franchise, is now officially live on iOS and Android smartphones.
Which is wild to think about.
Right. And we aren't talking about some watered-down, auto-playing mobile spinoff. It is the full original game.
Featuring full crossplay with the existing PC player base.
Full crossplay. And they've even added quality of life features like voice dictation for the in-game chat, which isn't even available on the desktop version. Avoxtr tested this port on a 9-year-old Pixel smartphone. From tapping the app icon on a cold start to physically moving a character in the game took 12 seconds.
12 seconds?
12 seconds to load an entire MMO world.
The technical optimization is honestly impressive, but the accessibility and pricing model is what really stands out here.
Oh, the strategy is brilliant. It's totally free to download and play the massive original Prophecies campaign. The catch is just that there are ad-supported loading screens. But the ads are hard-capped at 30 seconds.
That's pretty reasonable for free-to-play.
Yeah, and if you find them annoying, it's a one-time payment of $6.99 to remove them forever. The expansion campaigns, like Factions and Nightfall, are $6.99 each, and you can link your mobile account directly to your ArenaNet PC account.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, you can play on the bus during your commute, log off, and pick up exactly where you left off on your desktop at home.
But, the underlying question is, why does a complex 20-year-old PC game actually feel good on a smartphone? Because mobile MMO ports are notoriously terrible.
They really, really are. Usually your screen is just hopelessly cluttered with translucent virtual joysticks and 50 tiny ability buttons that you can barely tap with your thumbs. It's a UX nightmare.
Right. But unlike action-heavy modern games where you are constantly dodge rolling and managing a free-look camera with dual joysticks, the original Guild Wars was built on a very specific tab targeting and skill management system.
Okay, explain tab targeting for anyone who hasn't played it.
So tab targeting means you don't have to manually aim your attacks like in a first-person shooter. On a PC, you literally press the tab key to magically lock onto an enemy. Once locked on, you press a number key to activate a skill, and the game automatically calculates if the attack hits based on your stats.
So it was always a game about strategy and positioning.
Exactly. Selecting the right skill for the right target at the right time rather than twitch reflexes.
It was almost like a tactical puzzle.
Very much so. And that specific calculated pacing translates flawlessly to a touch screen. ArenaNet completely redesigned the mobile UI so you aren't fighting virtual thumbsticks. You literally just tap the monster on your screen to lock on. Then you tap the skill icon at the bottom.
That's so clean.
It's direct, it's intuitive, and it doesn't clutter the screen. This brilliantly opens up the franchise to an entirely new generation of mobile gamers who might never sit down at a traditional gaming PC.
while simultaneously letting 20-year veterans run high levelization missions on their lunch break at work. I mean, it is the ultimate respect for the legacy of the IP.
Truly.
But they aren't just looking backward with mobile ports, they are expanding sideways into entirely new genres.
If you need armor upgrades immediately, the Scriptbird Credit Union has you covered. Get shiny armor today, and don't worry about the shiny gold debt tomorrow. Skip the weekly time gate grind entirely with a high-interest credit advance. Just find the script hiding behind the trading post and whisper the keyword shiny to claim your instant payout.
The sources also highlight the newly announced digital card game, Mistbound.
Right, which is also fully integrated for PC and mobile, utilizing a free-to-play model.
Yes. But it's not just a standard play a card, deal 3 damage clone. The sources describe matches taking place on a 5x3 tactical grid, and they are using a commander multiplied by profession system.
Which adds a fascinating layer of complexity.
It really does. You take an iconic lore character, a commander, and then you assign them one of the 9 classic Guild Wars professions. But how does that grid actually play out in a match?
Well, this is where ArenaNet is flexing their design muscles. Imagine taking a classic heavy armor warrior. In a normal card game, you might just play a sword attack card to lower the enemy's health points. But in Mistbound, because of that 5x3 grid, you can play a card that physically pushes the enemy token 2 squares backwards.
Oh, I see.
Yeah, you can knock them off a digital ledge, or pull them into a trap, or use a thief character to execute a flanking maneuver for bonus damage based strictly on where they are standing on the board.
So it turns a standard card game into a game of positional chess.
Exactly. And if we connect this to the bigger picture, ArenaNet's overarching strategy becomes incredibly clear. This isn't just a quick, cheap cash grab to capitalize on the mobile market.
No, it seems way too deep for that.
Right. This is a highly strategic IP expansion, very similar to what Blizzard Entertainment achieved with Hearthstone for the Warcraft universe.
Man, Hearthstone was an absolute juggernaut. It took over the world for a few years.
Because it kept people engaged with Warcraft lore and characters, even when they were totally burnt out on the core World of Warcraft MMO. Mistbound is designed to do the exact same thing for the world of Tyria.
That makes total sense.
But mechanically, it's also testing the waters. By introducing this directional movement and grid combat, ArenaNet is exploring how their distinct combat aesthetic translates into a completely different genre.
And crucially, it keeps the brand in your pocket all day long. You've got the Reforged MMO to play on your lunch break. You've got the Mistbound card game for your train commute. And you have Guild Wars 2 waiting on your high-end PC when you get home.
It creates a comprehensive, almost inescapable ecosystem.
It really does. But, dropping a shiny new card game and a sleek mobile port only goes so far if the players aren't actively talking about it. A studio's momentum isn't just driven by corporate software drops. It requires a completely different kind of energy. It requires a grassroots layer, the community.
Oh, absolutely. The symbiotic relationship between a studio's developers and its content creators is the lifeblood of this entire industry.
It really is. Let's look at the community pulse right now. We have creators like Wooden Potatoes. Right now, he is on episode number 17 of a daily Guild Wars 3 speculation series.
Episode 17.
17 straight days of in-depth video content based on a handful of interviews, a few pieces of concept art, and a beta test that is still a year and a half away.
And what exactly are they analyzing to sustain a daily grind like that?
Absolutely everything. I mean, they are dissecting single sentences from blog posts about ArenaNet's shift toward instanced multiplayer zones versus massive singular open world. They are heavily debating whether these new Veil spirits are going to completely replace the traditional class system. The developers drop a few conceptual crumbs, and the creators bake the bread that feeds the community.
That is the perfect way to describe it.
Oh.
The creators really act as the analytical bridge. They take a highly technical 500-word developer blog and translate it into weeks of engaging, passionate community debate.
Without them, the hype just dies.
Yeah, without that grassroots layer doing the heavy lifting, the studio's momentum would simply evaporate.
But that relationship is a two-way street. The developers have to prove they're actually listening to that grassroots layer, right? They have to feed that relationship. And here's where it gets really interesting.
Oh, I know where you're going with this.
Yeah, because amidst all of this massive franchise-altering news, next-gen sequels, mobile ports, digital card games, a thread blew up on Reddit regarding the June 23rd patch notes for the live game, Guild Wars 2.
The infamous patch notes.
Right. You would naturally assume, with 4 massive projects on their plate, A minor live service patch would just be back-end server stability and some bug fixes, but the community absolutely erupted over one hyper-specific bullet point.
It's just so funny.
The developers went into a map called the Brisbane Wildlands, and they intentionally added a tree stump.
They allocated developer time to add a scump.
A single stump, just slightly elevate one specific tree root.
Yeah.
Now, why would they do that? Because starting June 30th was the annual Roller Beetle Racing Week.
Oh, of course.
The Roller Beetle in Guild Wars 2 is a mount you can ride, and there is this incredibly passionate, hyper-niche subculture of players who treat this mount system like a high-speed, physics-based racing game. They build massive tracks, and this one specific tree route in Brisbane Wildlands was notoriously ruining their lap times for a specific gold medal achievement. You would hit it and lose all your momentum.
It was a massive point of frustration for a very small group of people.
Exactly. It's hilarious, but it's also brilliant. The Reddit threads are full of people saying, I haven't logged into the game in a year, and I know exactly which route they are talking about. I have to say, it is the ultimate ArenaNet flex.
It really is the ultimate flex, and it's the perfect encapsulation of why this particular studio is so fiercely beloved by its player base.
Because it shows where their priorities are.
Because it shows how they manage resource allocation. Think about the sheer scale of what we've discussed today. You have separate teams building a massive next-generation Unreal Engine 5 sequel. You have an entirely different engineering team porting a massive legacy code base to run smoothly on iOS and Android.
Yeah, which is insane.
You have a design team balancing the intricate mechanics of a 5x3 grid card game. And yet, amidst all of that corporate pressure, someone at that studio was given the time, the budget, and the managerial approval to boot up the map editor, find a specific tree route that was annoying a tiny subset of racing fans, and meticulously fix it.
They care about the micro-level experience just as much as the macro-level business strategy.
It proves to you, the listener, it proves to the player that the studio respects your time and dedication at every single level of their ecosystem. Whether you are a hardcore Raider theory crafting PvP mechanics for a 2027 sequel, or, a guy who just wants to drift his giant bug around a tree in the Brisbane Wildlands on a Tuesday night, ArenaNet sees you.
So what does this all mean for you? If you're listening right now, even if you don't play MMOs, even if you've never touched a Guild Wars game or rolled a 20-sided die in your life, watching ArenaNet right now is a masterclass in how to effectively manage a legacy IP.
It really is.
They are perfectly balancing massive industry-shifting ambition with intimate, almost absurdly detailed community care. You have the rock-solid Unreal Engine foundation being laid for the future with Guild Wars 3. You have the brilliant, frictionless mobile accessibility of Reforged. You have the strategic genre expansion with Mistbound. And you have a live service team that still cares enough to fix a tree stump for a racing event.
It is comprehensive, full-spectrum universe management. And honestly, looking at all these pieces coming together raises a deeply provocative question that I think we're just starting to brush up against in the modern gaming industry.
Oh.
Open up your inventory screen right this second and look your failure directly in the eye. Tyrion Hoarders Anonymous knows exactly what you're doing. You have 4 entire bank tabs completely filled to the absolute brim with stack after stack of completely useless bloodstone dust. It has no stats, it sells for 2 copper coins, and keeping it in a paid premium bank slot is pure clinical denial. The user interface makes you type out the exact name just to delete it because it's testing your resolve. Be strong. Call 1-800-BAGSPACE today and let it go.
Where are we heading?
Well, if we look at what ArenaNet is building, they've officially confirmed a system called Hall of Monuments 2.0.
Right, the cross-game reward system.
Exactly. It's a massive shared account progression system.
Yeah.
So the achievements you earn in the 20-year-old mobile port, the rare cards you unlock in the digital card game, your daily progress in the ongoing live service MMO, and the eventual characters you create in the next-gen prequel. It is all going to be interwoven and tracked within one single persistent player identity.
Wow. One account to rule them all. Everything feeds into everything else.
Right. And if a studio successfully pulls that off, interweaving 4 distinct genres, platforms, and eras of gaming history into a single persistent profile, does the concept of a traditional game sequel even exist anymore?
Man, that changes the whole definition of a release.
Are we moving past the idea of going to a store or a digital storefront and buying a new game? Or with interconnected ecosystems like this, are we simply subscribing to a universe?
That is a heavy thought to leave on.
You aren't playing Guild Wars 3 or Mistbound or Reforged. You are just logging into the world of Tyria through whichever window you happen to open that day.
Precisely. The game is the entire ecosystem.
If we look at their current roadmap, ArenaNet isn't just working on games. They're building a comprehensive gateway into the world of Tyria. They have 3 distinct MMO experiences, each offering a different flavor. The large-scale fighting and ongoing core updates of Guild Wars 2, the highly anticipated action combat focus of the upcoming Guild Wars 3, and the mobile-accessible Guild Wars Reforged. Add to that their work on the digital card game Mistbound, and it's clear they're creating diverse entry points for every type of player.
It really does feel like they're making Tyria accessible, whether you're at your desk or on the go.
Right. Exactly. And honestly, we have no idea what other genres they might break into next.
It's an incredibly ambitious vision. ArenaNet is clearly positioning themselves to lead on every front, from mobile accessibility to high-fidelity sequels. We'll be keeping a very close eye on how they balance these projects as we get closer to that beta window for Guild Wars 3. Thanks for joining us on this deep dive, and may the 6 watch over you.